Hello, I'm Tony, and today I want to talk about complex regional pain syndrome, or CRPS, because the other thing's too long to say all the time. Why am I talking about it? Well, one, because I've got it. Don't want to be rude. Two, because I said I was going to in a previous video. But most importantly, the third reason is I've had it twice now, and I've made some mistakes in how I tell people about it, how I deal with it myself, and I think some positives that I've figured out on how to cope with it, and that may be useful to people. There's more to it, I think, than you would expect to see from looking in without understanding it fully. So that's kind of part of what I want to do, try and get people to understand it a bit more. Something that, like I said, when I say failures, I don't think I managed to do, certainly in the first time that I had it. So, shall we do a numbered list? The internet loves numbered lists, don't they? Okay, yeah. I'll do a numbered list. I don't know how many numbers it's going to be, but maybe I should explain what it is first. That probably makes sense, right? CRPS is a chronic pain condition. And to explain how it works, I'm going to tell you how I understand it. I'm not a doctor, I'm not any kind of expert in this thing. This is just what I've gathered from talking to various doctors over the 7 or so years I've had it. If a doctor tells you something different to what I did, probably believe them. I'm probably not going to be 100% right here. First off, let's talk about the sympathetic nervous system, because that's the root of the problem with CRPS. So the sympathetic nervous system is responsible for detecting pain and sending pain signals to your brain. And the reason that you want pain is to stop yourself injuring something more after it's already been damaged. So, for example, if you fracture your wrist, you obviously don't want to be moving your hands around, because that will damage the bones and stop it healing, maybe make it heal wrong. So that's why you get pain signals. So the sympathetic nervous system somehow detects pain. This is where I'm not 100% sure. I think probably when cells are damaged, they send some signal, chemical signaler, and that's what the sympathetic nervous system's picking up. But once it picks it up, what it does is it creates more pain receptors, which obviously makes everything that happens in that area much more painful. And once the injury is no longer sending those sort of signals, however it determines that it's now healed, it stops. It brings back all those pain receptors it put out, and you're back to normal. In the case of CRPS, the sympathetic nervous system doesn't reset back to standard, reset back to like the normal amount of pain receptors. In fact, it kind of does the opposite. So even after the injury is healed, it will still think it's damaged and start to put out as many pain receptors as it thinks is necessary to stop you using that area of your body. We'll carry on with the wrist as an example. That's what happened to me the first time. What it will then do is restrict the amount that you can use the wrist. And it basically just makes it hurt all the time. And any touch, depending on how severe the CRPS is, for me the first time, touching my arm like that was the sort of jump out of your seat pain response. It was incredibly painful, to the point that if someone held onto it, I would have to do whatever I needed to do to stop them holding it. It was basically unbearable pain, which is where when people say, oh yeah, torture, I wouldn't crack under torture. Yeah, I would. It had to stop. It was unbearable. Please don't torture me. I will cave. I will tell you everything, and I'd please don't, I haven't got anything to tell, but please don't torture me. That is basically my understanding. It's so weird. It's such an unintuitive way of thinking about it, because until I got this, I didn't even know much about the sympathetic nervous system. On to how I got it, because it's a very odd combination of sort of random events basically. First off, I was at the bus stop. It was at London Bridge during rush hour. It was extremely busy. I was right on the edge of the pavement waiting for a bus to come in, and I wasn't in the road type area, but I was right on the edge, and as the bus pulled in, obviously slowing right down, it bumped me on the arm. It also happened to the wing mirror smashed the guy's head in. Fortunately, I'm too short for that to happen. It went over my head, but yeah, it really clonked some guy. And these two fingers went numb. I saw the doctor, and they said, yeah, you've got a little bit of nerve damage. It'll go, it'll be fine. So I thought no more of it. And about a month later, I was at a friend's wedding. I happened to slip over. Not because I was drunk, even though I'd had a fair few drinks, but I fell backwards and caught myself before my head hit the floor and pushed myself back up again somehow. And a couple of older ladies gave me a round of applause, which was great. But what I didn't know is I'd fractured my wrist. Obviously I did know pretty soon afterwards. I went to the doctors and they said it's a sprain, and it turned out not to be. So I waited the 5 to 6 weeks for a sprain to heal, and then I started playing squash again. But unbeknownst to me, there was actually a little bit of bone floating around. So obviously playing squash with a bit of bone floating around is not the best idea, so it might have done some more damage. I don't know which combination of events actually caused the CRPS. It could be two of those by themselves wouldn't have caused it, but all three did. Who knows? That's a very major point about CRPS, is that it's not that well known how it happens, and because the mechanism for it starting isn't well known, there isn't really a cure, because if you don't know how it got to the place it's gotten to, it's very difficult to get it to go back. So there's no real cures. The ways that they do it at the moment is effectively trying to switch it off and then switch it back on again, like it's a PC in the IT crowd. Or actually not the IT crowd, it's like a PC and tech support anywhere. I tried many different types of treatment. So one of them was either antipsychotic or antidepressant drugs, which were intended to suppress that sympathetic nervous system to the point where it kind of switched off, and then hoping that when you stop taking the anti whatever, it comes back up again and it's reset. None of those worked. The latest ones I've had is a lumbar puncture at the nerve that is where the sympathetic nerve goes down the leg, because I've now got it in my leg, in my right ankle, and they basically just shock that nerve and hope again that it resets. It didn't work at all. The only other treatment that could be planned for the future is implanting a permanent electrode or something to shock my spine constantly, and I'm not massively keen on the idea, because cutting open your spine and putting something in there is not without its risks, and it's the same treatment, just like a permanent shock rather than an individual one. That didn't work already, so there's no real cures. However, it does go. It took like 3 years for my arm, and my sympathetic nervous system just reset itself. Hold on, I've got to move something. After about 3 years, I wasn't able to pick up my Oxycontin, which was the pain meds that I was taking at the time. And it's quite hard to get them, as it should be. You know, you shouldn't be like giving them away like candy. But I was too busy at work to go and collect them. from the pharmacy, and it was Friday, and I then had a weekend where I wasn't going to be able to get them at all, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be a bit of a miserable weekend. And it turned out not to be. It turned out that it had reset, but the fact that I was taking these tablets kind of masked it. So it does go. Something that I found quite surprising. Right, number one, the pain, obviously. It hurts all the time. And the more you do, the more it hurts. Obviously that's the biggest thing. But what might not occur to people that haven't had chronic pain is how draining it is to have it all the time. It's like you're running on low batteries all the time. Anyone that's not had chronic pain, if you've had chronic pain before, you know all about this. But for those that don't have chronic pain, it's a constant thing that you have to actively ignore, right? And it's always there. It always seems to be there, draining your energy, your ability to concentrate on something else. You don't necessarily always want to engage with people as much as you would do normally. It's quite a big deal in how much it restricts you where you wouldn't expect it to restrict you. It makes you more tired all the time. That's on top of number two. Number two is you can't sleep a lot. You often aren't able to sleep. For me, the longest I went not sleeping at all, like not even tiny little cat naps or power naps or whatever, was 72 hours. And man, you don't feel well after 72 hours of no sleep. You feel bad. I felt really bad. Yeah, it's a weird experience. I don't recommend it. Don't stay up for 72 hours, people. It's horrible. That's a big one. That's another drain on your energy. That's another drain on your ability to do stuff. And that leads into, let's say that leads into number three, shall we? Because number three is the fact that you can't achieve stuff. It's really frustrating to not be able to do the things that you want to do. I can't do a 9-to-5 job. I can't do sustained 5 days, which you'll see in my videos, because I can't put up a video every day or two. And that becomes a problem because obviously for me, I'm not working. I'm living off savings because I don't qualify for any sort of welfare stuff, which is fine, you know. I've got money, I shouldn't need to, but that money's obviously running out. So money becomes a concern. And it's another drain. It's another drain on you. Number 4 is the lack of understanding from family members and friends that I've had, particularly the first time I had it. I was still going to work because being mobile is a lot easier, even though I don't remember a lot of it. I'll be honest, it's a bit hazy. I think there were several days where I couldn't come in, but work was very understanding. I was also a fair bit younger then, like it was 12 years ago or so, yeah, 12, 13 years ago. I would still go out with friends for drinks after work. I wouldn't drink, obviously I'm on strong painkillers, I don't think it's recommended. So I would go out and I would try to have fun. By about 8 o'clock I was kind of running out of energy. I needed to go home. And I generally said that was the point that people started to get a little bit drunk. And if you've ever been the sober person around drunk people, basically half of it was me going, yeah, but why is that so funny? That's not funny though. Oh, don't do that. That's crazy. That's stupid. Don't do that. And my best friend at the time basically said I was an arsehole during that time. And I don't, well, as I say, I don't remember. I don't think that I was being rude to people. I don't think I was being unpleasant or thoughtless or anything like that. I think what she meant was I wasn't as fun as I normally was. Well, that's a weird misunderstanding, knowing that I'm in pain all the time, right? And I think that was my mistake in not conveying to people how serious the condition was and how impactful it was on me. And maybe the best way to do it is to try and explain to people in relatable ways how bad it is. I'm not someone that tends to ask for help. I tend to look out for myself. I'm not against asking for help when I really need it, but I generally sort stuff out without external help. It's just the way I am. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. And maybe I didn't talk about the things that were a problem. So this time round, I've explained to people that I've got shops that are a 2-minute walk that way. And I kept going to the shops, and it got to the point where before I got back, I needed to stop a 3-minute walk. I couldn't do a 3-minute walk without getting into a lot of pain. Don't be afraid to explain the difficulties that you're having. People's misunderstandings of what you can do are very, I don't know, I found them difficult to cope with. It's unpleasant to keep telling people how badly off you are when they ask you to do something. And another example currently, it's my 50th birthday coming up pretty soon, and the family want to do a big celebration, as do a couple of friends. I can't go anywhere. I've tried and it doesn't work. It's too painful. I kind of regret going. A couple of days worth of not being able to sleep, barely being able to walk around the house, and feeling miserable at the time isn't a good idea. Especially if I'm miserable at my own birthday. Everyone that's put effort into getting the birthday celebration set up are going to feel like crap. I don't want to make my family feel like that. And yet I've still got family members saying, no, we don't want to go to your house. We want you to be out. We want you to get out and see places and do stuff. And I've explained a dozen times how I can't do that. This time round I have explained better to my family. They're a bit more understanding about what I can and can't do. It's all coming from a place of just wanting to help, wanting my life to be better than it is. It is what it is. You can't change it just because you want to. Yeah, that's my advice. Try and be a little bit open about the problems you're going through. But when someone asks you what problems you're going through, how you're feeling, maybe tell them. But that might be helpful. And to the friends and family, if you're watching this because you know someone with CRPS, bear in mind that it's not quite depressing, but it's not a fun experience to continually explain how rubbish things are, how restricted you are. It's not great. That moves on to, what number am I at? 5? Am I at 5 yet? 5. Let's say 5. Number 5 is, have I got any more? I can't remember. Maybe number 5's memory. Yeah, forgetting stuff, but I don't know if that's because I'm old and forgetful, or if it's because I'm tired and that's making me forgetful. I think the last point I want to make to people with CRPS is a warning that you are prone to getting it again once you've already had it. This is not something doctors told me until I got it again, so I think this might be more helpful. It's actually the drums that kicked off CRPS the second time. I played for about 4 hours in a meet-up group, and that did it for me. That did it for my ankle. CRPS come back, and that was like it was 4 years ago. If you're in a position after it's gone, fingers crossed it goes, and if you're in a position where it has, I think for me, I know what the pain feels like. It's a very different type of pain, and I felt it when I was playing the drums at that meetup, but I pushed through because I wasn't aware that you could get it again, and it's caused 4 years of pain again. Very much not worth pushing through. So, however, it was fun though, but it wasn't that fun. So if you get that pain again, if you feel that pain when you're doing something, do stop doing it. Don't try to push through, because it might come back, and like, no one wants CRPS. I don't want anyone to have it. I certainly don't want anyone to have it again. So bear that in mind. Listen to your body. This is too serious for a fun numbered list, right? One of the problems that you might encounter, that I have to a small degree, nothing major, but it's the fact that because it's chronic, i.e. it doesn't go away, it's always there. There's nothing you can do to like shift position and take the pain level down. Like, it doesn't matter where my ankle is, up, down, turning it all around, in and out, okie dokie, that's what it's all about. It doesn't stop hurting. And there are times where that realization that you can't stop it hurting, and it really gets to you at times. And those are the times where it's really important, I think, to remember. For me, it stopped. It just stopped. And it can stop for you. There's no guarantees. As I say, no one really understands it that well. Every doctor for every treatment's gone, this probably won't work. Great. Okay, well, we'll try it anyway, but thanks for the heads up. But yeah, not giving up hope is probably quite important. This is my feelings. I wouldn't say I got depressed. I do get fed up. I get fed up about not being able to go out, not being able to do stuff. I even get fed up where I plan to do a video for YouTube and I just can't. You know, that I get fed up when I lose a night's sleep and I get to sleep at like 8 o'clock in the morning and the day's gone and I feel like crap and I don't achieve anything that day when I wanted to. You know, all of those things bring you down a little bit, and you want to make sure it doesn't bring you down too far. If you don't have someone you can talk to, try and get a therapist or a counsellor or something like that. If you can't have that, then there are phone lines in most places in the world that you can talk to if you're feeling really down. You know what, if you can't do any of those, sometimes getting those feelings on paper might be of benefit, but whatever you do, you need to talk to someone about it, right? Following on from that, find something that helps distract you from the pain if possible. Something that you can get involved in, whether that's work, whether work keeps you occupied, whether that's a new hobby, an existing hobby. I play games for YouTube, I play games in my spare time, I make these videos. That's something that is engaging my mind all the time. I'm not thinking about the pain all the time. You need something to distract you. If you can, and this is a big if, exercise. Make sure that it's something that you can do without upping the pain, but do try. Like, that element of serotonin production is a good thing. It's something that can take away from the pain as long as you're not hurting yourself. Another thing that I found important was accepting the situation you're in now, but pushing the boundaries, gently pushing the boundaries to see what you actually are capable of. It's very easy to fall into the trap of, I can't do anything, so I'm not going to try and do anything, which probably is going to like bring your mood down a fair bit. But what you can do, what I did, try different things and see what things you actually can do. After the arm had healed, I needed to find out what I was still capable of. I tried playing squash and tennis. No, I can't do that. Okay, I went sword fighting. 20 minutes in, become clear that I couldn't do that anymore. But I tried. You have to try. Don't put yourself in a position where if it does hurt, you're kind of stuck. You know, don't go for a 5-mile walk. Realise after 5 miles that you're hurting yourself and have to come back 5 miles. Don't do anything like that. Be sensible, but don't restrict yourself any more than you're already restricted, would be my advice. It's really hard advice to keep to, I found, because it's easy to give up hope of being able to do stuff, but that's why it's so important to try to do stuff. I think that's all I've got to say about it. I hope it's helped someone, whether it's the people that have CRPS or the people around someone that has it. Hopefully it smooths some things over, because anything that can get smoothed over is a massive benefit when you have like low levels of mental effort available to deal with stuff. I'll leave you just with, it went for me. It disappeared one day. I really hope for anyone that has it, it disappears for you any day now. That's all for me. I'm off now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.